What's up YouTube? Capital G here, giving you guys a quick meta-analysis and or breakdown for the new format. People seem to like my last meta-analysis, so I figured let's go ahead and take this baby for another spin, especially because we got some actual competitive events to talk about for this video, which makes it a lot more exciting for me. And we had our first full weekend of Yu-Gi-Oh! Events. Most notably, we had a Pro Play Games Invitational down in Orlando, Florida. We also had our regionals in the UK that we have all the information for. So I'm going to break it down, start talking about some of the things that I noticed, some of the trends in the meta, what decks were successful, some of the crazy tech, some of the shocks, etc., and maybe, just maybe, I can walk people off of that ledge of, oh my goodness, Cap G, Spyral Tier 0, we need emergency ban list, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is absolutely ruined, etc. The last 48 hours have kind of been crazy, and there's been a little overreaction, but I want to go ahead and break it down. Let's start with the Pro Play Games Invitational, which happened in Florida over the weekend. And by the way, big shout outs to MBT and Simo holding it down on the commentary. They did an excellent job. I watched probably about half of the feature matches, and they were pretty entertaining. I was actually super shocked to see some of the numbers that they were doing in terms of viewership on Twitch. At one point, guys, they had almost 4,000 people watching that PPG event, which that's insane. That's essentially like YCS numbers when it comes to like eyes actually watching the duels. Note to Konami, you guys need to get some Yu-Gi tubers doing the commentary, man, because obviously Yu-Gi tubers means more viewership, and I feel like EU Konami has already learned this. That's why they've had Farfa, that's why they've had Lithium on the cast, and you know, Konami and A, you've got an event coming up in Charlotte. I live in Charlotte. I'm just saying, put two and two together and put your boy Cap G on the cast. Anyways, let's talk about what happened at Pro Play Games Orlando. Now, for starters, I have to note this was an invitational event, so it wasn't just a standard Pro Play Games event. If you just showed up on Saturday, you couldn't just enter, you know, pay $20 or something like that, although it did have last chance qualifiers. I guess you could say that this was essentially kind of like a UDS level event, although the attendance wasn't quite the same as a UDS. I believe there were 127 people at this event to be exact. I'm probably just going to say 130 for the rest of the video just because it's a round number and it just kind of sounds a little better. So the event was about 130 people. It wasn't the largest event, but it definitely had a lot of quality players, people like Kamal Crooks, Aaron Furman. These are people who have topped numerous YCSs, Joe Bogley. All of these people, I believe, at least made top 16 at this event, and unsurprisingly, at least to me, Spyral was the most dominant deck at the entire event, coming in with 9 players in the top 16. And I know that there's been, you know, some hesitance when it comes to Spyral. Some people thought that it was just hype from the Yu-Gi tubers because I put it as my #1 deck. I think Sammy put it as his #1 deck of the format as well. Some people just didn't believe it, and I told you guys, like, no, Spyral is very real. There's no more Colossus essentially to like stop the deck, and obviously they got a new piece of support in Magician Souls, even though that, you know, it's supposed to be a Dark Magician card, but it's kind of like taking that toy from your little brother and just playing with it. Spyrals are a very real deck, and they kind of asserted their dominance, having such a great impact on the top top 16, taking over half the cut. Now, what was incredibly surprising was that we didn't just see one specific cookie cutter Spyral build, and this was something that I did not expect at all. Pro Play Games actually broke it down into 3 different variations of Spyrals. We have your pure Spyrals, the scrap variant of Spyrals, which focuses on getting out Scrap Wyvern that can pull Scrap Golem from the deck. Scrap Golem is not a hard once per turn because it's an old school Duelist Revolution 5Ds card. Usually this is set up with like Scrap Recycler. We know that card from Orcust. And then by far the most mind-blowing, I mean, this just mind fucked me when I saw this version of Spyrals, the Pot of Extravagance build of Spyrals. And when I saw that, I almost didn't believe it. I was like, okay, maybe they're thinking of a different pot, like Pot of Avarice or something like that. Like, this doesn't make any sense at all. I really just thought about it. I was like, don't Spyrals historically need to resolve a double helix? Like, what if you banish your double helix? But it apparently is a legitimate thing. And before anybody tries to, you know, take jabs at it and say that it's not a real deck, understand that top-notch duelists like Aaron Furman, who I believe off the top of my head has gotten second place at 3 different YCSs and 1 in NAWCQ. This was the build of Spyrals that he chose to run, the version that runs Pot of freaking Extravagance. I mean, woo, that is absolutely insane that Spyrals are not just abusing Magician Souls to draw, but even if they don't hit that, they're like, yo, we don't even need our double helixes, I guess. We're just using Extravagance because the card is so insanely good. It kind of shows us that Spyrals have multiple ways to skin the cat, and that they are probably the best deck of the format. I know that a lot of the field were main decking things like Droll and Lockbird to take them out. And if you're still seeing Spyrals have this type of success with people main decking so many hate cards for them, that is kind of scary in my opinion. So Spyrals still getting the job done even with the target on their back. Now when it comes to some of the other decks that topped the PPG event, we saw Gouki, Salaman Great, Cyber Dragon, Orcust. Shout outs to my homeboy Blair. Next time I see you at a regional, I'm gonna dap you up, homie. Dinosaurs, Lunalight Dangers, and then a couple of Altergeist players. Altergeist, you know, looks like some of the success that they had seen on Dueling Book definitely translated to like actual competitive events. Some of these are kind of shockers. Gouki kind of coming out of left field. I will have the deck list posted on the screen. These were broken down by Ready to Duel. Keep in mind, these are not 100% accurate, and I believe the Gouki deck is kind of crazy because it almost reminds me of like what Eddeception did with Invoked back during the Spyral format, where he essentially just ran like 15 hand traps in a very small engine. I know that the Gouki deck kind of does that. It runs like 15 hand traps in the main so that you can just stop a Spyral player's turn essentially with a hand trap or two. And I believe that he kind of would sit on Gouki the Giant Ogre. My understanding is that since Spyrals aren't running Borreload Dragon anymore, they really don't have a legitimate out to Gouki the Giant Ogre. And even in game 2, if your opponent would, I don't know, kaiju it or kill it with like Lightning Regeki when that comes out, if you were to Monster Reborn it or just summon like a second copy from your extra deck, they're not going to be able to out that second copy, and you're almost guaranteed to win at that point. A couple of trends that I did notice: number one, evenly match in the main deck. Not only did the winner who played Altergeist play evenly match in the main deck, but the Dinosaur guy who made top 16, he also did it as well. I think this was an amazing choice by the players. I actually did this once with Altergeist at a regionals right here in Charlotte. The theory behind it is essentially if you're going first with Altergeist, 1 brick evenly match won't hurt you all that much. You should still just be able to set up and beat your opponent inherently, outgrinding them. But if you're going second, it gives you a blowout card against, you know, decks that want to establish big boards like Spyral or maybe Lunalight Orcust. Also, fun fact, you can summon Multi-Faker off of evenly match, and at that point you just super win the game. And with the Dinosaur deck, well, that was a blind second deck, so obviously having a card that is kind of a win button against not just decks that want to build boards, but even against like other back row decks without even having to use your Oviraptor and kind of like assemble pieces to break their board is just kind of really good. So look out for evenly match definitely to be maybe sneaky in some of those main decks. Now when it comes to that regionals that happened in the UK, and yes, I'm going to cover our regionals because we have all the information pertaining to this event. We know that it was held in Folkestone, and we know that it was also 106 players. This was an event that was 7 rounds of Swiss. Your top 8 were 3 Altergeists, 2 Lunalight, 1 Dinosaur, 1 Train, and 1 Hero variant. I think it's interesting. It kind of feels like these events are telling 2 stories. We saw the domination of Spyral when it came to the North American events at the Pro Play Games, and then this event had surprisingly no Spyrals in the top 8, but I'm pretty sure there was a Spyral presence at this event. Lunalights did end up winning this event and going 7-0 undefeated in Swiss. It was a build that was really interesting, and now apparently like even Lunalight players are on the whole Magician Souls hype train. They're main decking it as a staple. This build in particular had many ways of winning, including just building crazy boards, making DDD King Caliuga with the rank up card that got unbanned rank up Phantom Knights launch. This build could also Utopia double OTK, and it definitely feels like Lunalights are a contender for this event. I think if you take both events, the UK regionals and also the Pro Play Games events, I think that we can kind of piece together maybe like a rough draft of what the meta is going to be. I personally believe that the tier 1 right now, and obviously this is just coming out of one weekend, probably looks something like Altergeist, Spyral, and then maybe Lunalights. And then maybe we have archetypes like Salamangreat or Dinosaurs right below, just kind of nipping at their heels. I think that there was some concern about like heroes and their representation at the Pro Play Games events, but I would like to note there were only 3 hero duelists at the entire event. So if you're telling me that there's only 3 hero players out of an event that's 130 players, like, I'm not going to be surprised when they don't top. So I'm not ready to be like heroes are dead because of Nibiru and because of Super Poly. We'll just have to give that a little bit of time. I honestly would be more concerned about Burning Abyss and Orcust. Orcust so far didn't really have like a significant showing. I've looked over, trying to find regional top 8 lists or anything like that. Obviously they didn't do well at the Pro Play event. I think Orcust might be one of the decks where people expected it to be a top 5 deck and it's just not. Like, maybe the Orcust players are just switching to the Spyral deck because it's more explosive, but Orcust is a deck, maybe Burning Abyss, those would be archetypes that I would be a lot more concerned about. But what did you guys take away from this weekend? I feel like we cannot obviously make a definitive picture, when it comes to like the meta, because this is only 1 week essentially of events, but I definitely think that there are some trends that we can talk about, and in the upcoming days I will have more discussions around the competitive meta. Hopefully you guys do enjoy these type of videos, and if you do, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.